Before I ever knew Jesus Christ, before I ever understood the authority of his name, there were 5 words that made experienced witches stop mid-ritual. Not symbols, not candles, not blood, words. And that's what most people don't understand. Witchcraft is not powered by objects, it's powered by permission, and permission is enforced or revoked by words. I remember one night clearly. We were performing an assignment meant to bring confusion and loss into a household that had been spiritually exposed. Everything was prepared. The timing was right. The access points were open. But something happened that none of us expected. The person we were targeting didn't scream. They didn't panic. They didn't fight us emotionally. They spoke 5 words, quietly, without drama, and the entire atmosphere collapsed. What took us hours to build broke in seconds. That night changed how I understood power. And later, after God pulled me out of the occult, I finally understood why those words worked. It wasn't volume. It wasn't emotion. It was authority. Many of you listening right now are praying constantly, but still feel attacked, blocked, or oppressed. Not because God isn't listening, but because you're speaking without enforcing your position. There is a difference between asking God for help and standing in what He already gave you. Those 5 words don't beg, they don't plead, they terminate access. And if you've been dealing with repeated cycles, unexplained resistance, or spiritual heaviness, you need to understand this, not emotionally, but spiritually. Because once you learn how to speak from authority instead of fear, curses don't linger, they leave. Inside the occult, we were taught a truth most believers never hear. Curses don't work on everyone. They only work where legal ground exists. That ground can be fear, ignorance, agreement with negative words, unforgiveness, or simply silence. Silence is not humility, it's often permission. Many Christians assume God will automatically block every attack. But God honors authority structures. If you don't exercise what He gave you, the enemy exploits the gap. Curses are not magical beams, they are enforced agreements. And agreements can be revoked. This may challenge what you've been taught. Length does not equal power. Emotion does not equal authority. In witchcraft, the most dangerous person was never the loud one, it was the certain one. Jesus himself didn't argue with demons, he commanded them. Authority speaks briefly because it doesn't need to explain itself. If you're exhausted from praying against the same thing repeatedly, it may be because you're requesting instead of declaring. Now listen carefully. These 5 words are not a magic phrase. They only work when spoken from faith, alignment, and submission to Christ. The words are, I belong to Jesus Christ. That's it. Inside the occult, those words shut doors instantly when spoken with belief. Why? Because ownership determines jurisdiction. You cannot curse what you do not own. You cannot access what is already claimed. You cannot remain where authority has been declared. These words establish identity, and identity outranks ritual. When you say, I belong to Jesus Christ, you are doing 3 things at once. You are declaring lordship. You are revoking prior agreements. You are enforcing covering. Witchcraft depends on ambiguity. These words remove it. Demons do not fear people, they fear alignment. And alignment is louder than prayer. This is important. If these words are spoken casually, Without surrender, they become religious language. Authority flows from relationship, not repetition. Inside witchcraft, we knew when someone said the right words without believing them. Nothing happened. But when belief and surrender were present, even whispered, the atmosphere shifted. Authority cannot be faked. Many curses linger not because they're strong, but because they were never renounced. Words spoken over you, words spoken by you, words spoken in agreement. When you say, I belong to Jesus Christ, you are renouncing every other claim, known or unknown. That's why it works. Temporary relief without lifestyle alignment creates revolving doors. If you break access but reopen it through fear, compromise, or agreement, the pressure returns. Authority must be maintained, not just declared once. This is not about perfection, it's about position. After I left witchcraft, the retaliation was intense. Dreams, pressure, fear. But every time I spoke those words, not emotionally, but firmly, the attacks stopped, not gradually, immediately. Because darkness respects boundaries it cannot cross. Don't shout, don't panic, don't perform. Stand still, breathe, speak calmly. I belong to Jesus Christ. That's not defense. That's enforcement peace settles. Clarity returns, fear loses volume, not because life becomes perfect, but because access has been revoked. You stop fighting from desperation and start standing from authority. Let me end with this. These 5 words are powerful not because of sound, but because of truth. If Jesus is Lord of your life, then darkness is trespassing. And trespassers leave when authority speaks. You don't need new rituals. You don't need louder prayers. You don't need fear. You need alignment. Because once ownership is declared, curses don't argue, they break.